We're in the winter quarter of our Sunday school lessons for the months of December, January, and February. And our title is Justice, Law, and History. In this quarter, we're focusing on justice as it's presented in the Old Testament under the law. And we're also looking at some of the circumstances that construed God's people thoughts on justice. We are currently in unit number 2 for the month of January, and it is entitled God, the Source of Justice. And we're looking at 5 lessons that look at God's justice in the lives of his people and in the gift of the law. Today we're looking at lesson number 7 for January the 16th, 2022, entitled Unbiased Actions. And our printed text is Exodus chapter 23, verse 1 through 12. As we think about this lesson today, there are so many good points and so many directions we can go in as we review it. And I pray that even as you have looked over the lesson, that God has spoke to you. But as we think about that lesson today, I want to do so on the backdrop of Martin Luther King Day. We know that's coming up on Monday, in which we celebrate his life and legacy and his work while he was alive. And as we think about that on the backdrop of his life and what he fought for, I want us to think about our lesson today. And even as we think about the times that Martin Luther King lived and even the times that we live in now, I think it's easy for all of us to see and to know that in our history and even right now, that justice can and has been biased and perverted for some. Justice has and currently is biased and perverted for some. And I think we've seen it all. We've seen how lies can replace true justice. We've seen justice be denied to those who are marginalized and to the poor as well as to the foreigner. We've seen evil be legalized as law, even at the expense of others. We've seen bribes that has perverted the upholders of the law. And so those who are supposed to uphold the law and carry out the law have been perverted and biased and bought because of bribes. And as we think about it, and even in the days that we fought for it in civil rights as African Americans, to even right now today, we can see that justice can be abused in many ways. And that's the point of our lesson today, to remind us, yes, justice can be abused, but God is a God of justice, and he is the perfect example of justice. And we see the perfect example of justice in Jesus. So God is a perfect example of justice, and he executes it perfectly. And so listen to what God tells his people, his citizens of his nation, where he is God and they are his people. Listen to what God gives to them as their civil rights, how they should live civilly among one another. Listen to how God instructs his people. He tells them, do good to your enemy and to those who hate you. God tells them, don't you deny justice to the poor, to the foreigner, or to the innocent or the righteous. Don't you be bribed. Avoid false charges. And he says, take care of the poor as well as your servants. Listen to God giving instruction to his people. And sometimes we wonder what a nation under God would look like. And this is it. And so let me close with this. No matter if you're on the blue side, no matter if you're on the red side, no matter if you align with the green party, listen, if we are citizens of God's kingdom and Christians, then these are our civil laws. These are the laws of our land, how God wants us to live. And that's irregardless of anything that could be biased or to make us look down on one another. These are God's laws for us. that he wants us to live by, and he wants us to live among each other with. So let us consider God's words and how he wants us to live as Christians so that we can truly become one nation that is under God.